when he first came back from the hamstring injury, he missed more than a month. It happened week 4. He was back for the game against the Dolphins on a Thursday night. I could just tell he didn't have highest gear, and he never seemed to regain it until the game against the Bengals, maybe when they won 24-0. But he was showing up on the injury report every week with something else. And then the back contusion happened, and he misses the game, and now he's back. And this goes to the column from Mike Preston of the Baltimore Sun. I hesitate to call it a column. It was a column, but embedded in the column was reporting. And it wasn't traditional reporting. It was just controversial stuff stated as fact with no purse sources, nothing. Just, it was almost like there was a companion article somewhere that nobody ever saw because it was never written that reported these various things as factual through the normal reporting process, and then somebody else writes a column about it. That was what was so weird the moment I saw it. It's analysis with facts that never were presented anywhere as facts, and they're just assumed to be true for the purposes of what Mike Preston was saying, and that includes concerns about conditioning and nutrition, 2 factors that play into the whole, he's got this injury. Oh, and he turns 29 next week. And, Father Time is undefeated, but sometimes Father Time wins faster than otherwise. And maybe there's going to be the kind of physical breakdown we've seen, the quick exit we've seen from other quarterbacks. The issue with staying up late, playing video games, that was mentioned in the Mike Preston column. And then falling asleep in meetings, which would seem like a pretty big deal, which is the kind of thing that if it's going on
for your quarterback,
we're not hearing about it for the first time in a Mike Preston column where the facts are presumed to be true that form the basis of the ultimate opinion that the Ravens should think about trading him. So here is Lamar Jackson addressing just the whole host of questions that were raised about him not playing in Green Bay, the game they won because Derrick Henry rushed for, I think, 783 yards in one game, maybe in one half, and also on this lingering notion that he falls asleep during meetings. Here's Lamar Jackson.
I always want to play football, but I felt like my brother had he can put a win off for us because I wouldn't be able to do anything. I was really hurt. Like, I don't know why I got to get questioned about, or I hear things about, I don't know if he really, like, I never quit on my team before, so I never quit anything, to be honest with y'all. So I don't know where that noise came from, but like I already know my brother he gonna pull it off if I couldn't get it done,
The talk that comes up when you do get hurt, how people react, it seems like they're not as quick to believe that you're as hurt as you say you are.
I mean, someone probably think I'm a robot, but I'm a human being too, but unfortunately I couldn't, avoid that injury. What had happened. We got the win in Green Bay. I'm looking forward to play Sunday.
I aired there. That clip did not include him saying Harbaugh would never let me fall asleep in meetings. I don't know where that noise is coming from. That was also part of what he had to say. He seems happy at a time when he reasonably could be pissed. And, hey, you know what? I like the disposition. I like the approach. We got too many pissed off people walking around in this world. But he has every right, Michael, to be upset by the fact that the primary newspaper in the city that his team calls home was dropping these bombs a week and a half ago and creating all sorts of issues that he's out here now trying to clean up.
Well, and it's a good point, Mike. I was going to say about Mike Preston. He's been around for a long time, and I like the way you described his column. And it's one of those things where if you've been a beat writer, you have those beat writing techniques. You have those beat writing practices where you have developed sources, cultivated sources, so you know stuff. But then you can put it as a columnist. You can say it with authority, knowing that you got help over the top. You got safety help over the top because you've actually done the work. You haven't revealed your sources, so you don't have to say it the same way a beat writer does. You could just use the authority of a columnist's voice and just say it. And so maybe that's what Preston is doing. And from Lamar Jackson's perspective, he knows Preston has been in Baltimore longer than Lamar Jackson. So you have to weigh as a player, is this coming from somebody who is just an institution themselves, who's been around Baltimore for many, many years? Is this coming from somebody who has their own sources and doesn't necessarily need to rely on John Harbaugh or Eric DeCosta or anybody else inside to get the stuff? Or, and this is where you would be upset, or is this somebody who doesn't really have it on their own and they need the head coach, they need the general manager, they need ownership to kind of figure out what's happening? And so maybe Lamar has, I'm just guessing, Mike, maybe Lamar has determined, okay, I know this is not coming from Harbaugh. Maybe this is coming from somebody else, or maybe this is just his perception. And I'm good with it because I know my guys didn't put it out there.
The whole thing is just weird. And we don't know how Mike Preston got his information. He did state it as if it was factual. And look, this goes back to, and before I say this, I know anytime I mention that Lamar Jackson doesn't have an agent, there will be this knee-jerk, you're just trying to help your buddies in the agent community. So go ahead, attack me with that stupid, tired, old narrative. The reality is, when you have an agent who is there to look out for your interests at a time when you need to be focused on getting healthy enough to play football, getting yourself ready to play football, that's the person who mobilizes and calls Mike Preston and tears him a new one for putting this crap out there about my client without calling my client first to get his side of the story. You're defaming my client. I mean, that's the kind of thing an aggressive agent is going to do. And to get them to back down and to command the relationship and just do whatever it takes to put the best possible version of your client out there. And when you don't have that, it simmers, it grows stale, it feels like ancient news because of how quickly we go from this to this to this. I mean, it's just one thing after another. One thing is we have goldfish brains. The other thing is they're putting a shitload of food in the goldfish tank. What are we supposed to do? It's all floating down here. What do we eat next? So, everything feels like it was a long time ago. And look, I'm not here to comment on whether or not Mike Preston's reporting is accurate or not. I have no reason to doubt it. And it just makes me wonder what forces are at play behind the scenes and what the Ravens possibly are hoping will happen after the season. And, of course, they're never going to come out and say we'd like to trade him. I came to the conclusion before Lamar said what he said yesterday, I came to the conclusion that the Ravens have reached the point where they would love to receive an offer they won't refuse from a team that is willing to pay Lamar and able to communicate directly with Lamar without an agent involved to give him the kind of contract he wants. And how can we say no to this? That's far different from we're shopped. Because once you say that, it's over. Once you say to the world, we're shopping our franchise quarterback's contract, he's got 2 years left, how do you bring him back if you don't find a deal? And are you ever going to get the best deal you can once you give up the leverage of, what are you talking about? He's a member of this team. We're not trading him. We're not trading him. That's your best leverage. We're not trading. No. I say it all the time. Like, unless you have two teams that are in tug of war for a player's contract, you need to be able to say, you're crazy. Like, if somebody comes up to your house and says, hey, I like your car, I'd like to buy it. It's not for sale. Well, I could give you a good, it's not for sale. How about this much? I'm sorry, it's not for sale. Well, how about this much? Sorry, it's not for sale. Sorry, it's not for sale is the best way to get the best deal for something that you're thinking about moving on from. And right. I think the Ravens are going to try to create that vibe.
Well, that's interesting. There are a lot of interesting things with this story. I mean, really, this is why this game is so good. It's the game, and then there are all the storylines that correspond with the game from the Ravens side and the Steelers side. But let me ask you this, Mike, because my sense is, if it's true, if Lamar Jackson, just think about what he's been accused of from the Preston column. He likes to play video games, stay up late playing video games, needs to work on the nutrition and the rest, and falls asleep in meetings. If all of these things are true, if they are true, I don't know that they are. If they are true, I think they were probably true last year. Right? They were probably true, but the difference was he had 41 touchdown passes. He only threw 4 picks. He was right there when he was that close to winning his 3rd MVP.
I put him first last year. He was number 1 on my ballot last year.
And he ran for another, 800, 900 yards last year. So the difference is, hey, if you do those things and you produce, hey, we got no problems. You do those things, you start missing some games. Now instead of running for 50 or 60 yards a game, now you're running for 25 or 30 yards a game, and you're not throwing 41 touchdown passes this year, and you're not available when we need you this year. So I think it really comes down to frustration with his unavailability at times. Whether they say that or not, of course they're going to say all these things publicly, but if I really want to break it down, if I really want to boil it down to the frustration with Lamar Jackson, it's just that he hasn't been out there. And all the other stuff, that's where the noise comes from, Lamar. Really, the noise comes down to team hasn't performed like people thought they would. A lot of people had him in the Super Bowl, and he hasn't been there. And so then that's when you start opening up to all sorts of noise.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.